Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. Glad you're here on this cold, chilly morning. It's Friday, and we got a special guest here. A lot of stuff to do. So let's get started with our weather. Brought to us by Haney Technical Center at the corner of Baldwin and Highway 77. High today, 47. Low tonight is going to be like getting into 35, so it's going to be cold. Water temperature is at 67 degrees. Take a look at our river readings brought to us by Sand Hill Seafood and Restaurant. Apalachicola, Bluntstown, 1 foot even, and the Choctaw at Caryville, 5.1. So it is going up a little bit, and we got some, this rain we've had is going to have an effect on it. Tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn. Another day of really good tides. We've got a situation here looking into, tomorrow's going to be okay. Today's, all the way through Sunday is going to be good tides. We've got a low tide at 10:30 this morning and a high tide at 12:15 right after midnight, so it's coming in. But we negated a little bit by a north wind, about 13 miles an hour coming in today. Let's go to our fishing game time today, brought to us by Blue Water Outriggers, 4:14 to 6:14 this morning and this afternoon. If you get off early, 4:41 to 6:41. Okay, that takes care of our weather. We're going to come back with our special guest. Okay, welcome back and welcome to a familiar face if you watched any outdoor stuff over the years. Jim Wilson, good morning.
Hey, how are you? Thank you so much for inviting me.
I'm always glad to have Jim on the show.
Well, thank you.
We were talking about how many years did you do outdoor TV?
On here, I did it for 30 years.
Holy cow, how'd you do it that long?
Oh, well, it was just so much fun.
Yeah.
And it gave me the opportunity. I probably should have brought a couple of pictures in. But because of the TV show, my wife and I had 2 all-expense-paid trips to Costa Rica, where she caught 7-foot sailfish, 50-pound roosterfish. Then we had a 10-day all-expense-paid trip to Alaska. We flew into Fairbanks and took the train coming down and had 5 fishing trips. And she caught a 100-pound halibut and a 40-pound salmon. This woman loves to fish.
Well, that's pretty strong. And listen, my show, I hadn't got any kind of free trip like that. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and we took a small plane in Talkeetna with a lady flyer, a little tiny plane, called 2 Babes and a Bird. And it took off on wheels. And we flew up 8,000 feet on Denali Mountain and landed up there on a glacier on skis.
Wow.
And got out, and Winston, it was a spiritual experience.
Wow.
And because it was so quiet, but the glacier is always moving, and it groans. And what it does is it moves down to the sea. When it gets there, it keeps pushing, and these huge chunks come off, and they call that calving.
Wow. I bet that was special.
Yeah, and we're up there and listening to that. And I write some poetry, and I'm still working on it. Glaciers were formed eons ago in the lofty peaks, in Denali's lofty peaks of ice and snow. They live a life all of their own. Their only sound is the continuous groan. They're always moving on the way to the sea. And I'm still working on that.
That's really good. That's really good. Y'all know you're going to get some poetry this morning, did you? Speaking of your wife, Pat, she makes your shirts. You're talking about that shirt.
Yeah, she made
cool.
This one, and she just made me I think she's made me near a dozen over the years.
That's cool.
She loves to sew. And all of them are fish shirts, as you can see.
Yeah, that's really cool. Well, this is a really busy time of the year. In general, when you do, look, we're going to talk about on the fishing report. We're going to get Jim up there. We're going to talk about a lot about fishing, but just historically, in the wintertime fishing, what are some of the things you've had success with over the years here in this Panhandle?
Well, one of the things is flounder always migrate. People don't realize this sometimes, but they start somewhere around October and migrate from the bays and things out into the Gulf.
Yeah.
And I had good luck with them fishing with flounder jigs and also with fresh peeled shrimp. That's one of my favorite baits also. And as I've written before, we are so fortunate here. A metaphor that I've used is when you stand on the sand of Panama City Beach, you're standing in the center of one of the world's great fishing compasses.
I agree
To
with
the
that.
south is the Gulf of Mexico. And 100 years ago, that sandy bottom was like a desert until people started building the artificial reefs. Now we have hundreds. And those are the places you look for our resident fish, such as our favorite red snapper, grouper, triggerfish, amberjack, and then we have the pelagics, those that come annually and so forth.
Yeah.
So,
That structure's been, structure, three
yes,
important ones.
absolutely.
It is amazing. Okay, every Friday now we get ready to do some drawings and all. So we're going to, this first drawing is going to be Sandhill Seafood. And Jim, I'm going to let you draw a name out here. This is going to be.
What if I draw my own name?
Well,
out
that'll
of
be
it?
okay too. That'll be okay too. This will be a free seafood platter from Sandhill Seafood. So draw
All right,
one
let's
card.
see who the lucky winner is.
Get a yellow card too.
I got a.
All right, that's a good one. All right, that's going to be Marianne Jarrell from Lynn Haven. Marianne,
Congratulations, Mary Ann.
We're going to take a quick break and come back with some more drawings. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back with Jim Wilson, our guest today. And all of y'all know Jim Wilson, but yesterday's show had on a young outdoorsman. Today we got an older outdoorsman. So we covered the whole gamut here on Panhandle Outdoors. So, Jim, people always have this rich heritage and rich history, and it always fascinates me hearing people's story. And you have something unique. Tell us about briefly about your heritage and history.
Well, I was born in Galveston, Texas, and when I was 6 months old, my father abandoned me and my mother. We never saw him again. And her uncle drove from a little town in Mississippi called Columbia and brought us back there, and we moved in with my great-grandmother O'Rourke, born in 1856. My mother was college educated in music and art, but she got a job in an office and worked 6 days a week supporting us. Well, Grandma died in 1946, and at the same time, my mother got a job in Gulfport, Mississippi as secretary to the director of the new Gulfport Veterans Mental Hospital. This is 1946.
Right after the war.
So all these young men that were coming there had PTSD, except in those days it was called shell shock.
Shell shock.
Well, one of the psychiatrists was a great mentor to me, and I kind of always thought he and my mother would have an affair.
Okay.
And I wish they'd get married,
Boy,
but he
they married.
taught me so many things, scientific names, all kind of Crotalus anamantis. You know what that is?
No.
Diamondback rattlesnake.
Okay.
And anyway, we never owned a car. We lived right on Highway 90 and on the water, and that's where I got into fishing. Always worked, always bought things on the layaway plan. My junior year of high school, I bought my first 35 millimeter camera, and I didn't have a darkroom, but the school did, so I got it, and I'd been doing a little bit of writing. Well, in 1950, I graduated and went 30 miles north to a little junior college called Perkinston Junior College. And my roommate was a young man from Biloxi, Mississippi, named Fred Hayes. You have heard that name.
Fred Hayes.
Fred Hayes, and most people have. But what they don't realize is that Fred Hayes is the Apollo 13 astronaut. And I got a couple of pictures here.
Let's look at this. This is a picture. This is a journalism class or something?
That's the newspaper class. This is our, we're the folks that put out our newspaper. It was called The Bulldog Barks. And if you can see in this...
Right in the center.
Right in the center, that's Fred Hayes.
That's Fred Hayes.
And then right over here at the typewriter, that's Jim Wilson.
What you got in your mouth?
a pipe, and so is Fred.
That is funny. Now, tell the folks, yeah, that's a great old black and white photo like that. Tell the folks what made Fred Hayes, we had astronauts, what made Fred Hayes so famous? What did he do?
Fred Hayes, the people that have heard that name have heard this. Houston, we have a problem. Fred Hayes is the Apollo 13 astronaut.
That said that?
And there's my roommate.
I
was there at the launch of Apollo 13.
Were you really?
Yes, and Spiro Agnew, I think he was vice president then. John Wayne was there. We were in the VIP stands. John Wayne
was there?
Yes. Werner von Braun was there.
That's some history right there.
Walter Cronkite.
Oh, my goodness.
And all those people.
And you were there with him because you were friends with Fred Hayes growing up.
Yes.
And this is a picture of him sending you.
That's Fred when he was, an astronaut.
Wow.
And this past November 12th, I celebrated my 86th birthday.
Yes.
And Fred's birthday is November 14th. Well, I'd called him and I didn't get him to wish him a happy birthday. Mm-hmm. But on November 14th, on his birthday, he called me, and guess where he was?
Where?
He was in Gulfport, Mississippi.
Wow. At
the Veterans Hospital. He had been invited there for Veterans Day, November 11th, mm-hmm. and he called to wish me a happy birthday.
Wow.
We still keep in touch.
That is awesome. That's just awesome.
And that's him. He was a test pilot, and that's him on the top taking off in his first test pilot.
Wow, that's cool.
And
all right, what is this picture here?
Well, I had a great history. I started out eventually in 1953. I joined the Army. Mm-hmm. I was living in New Hampshire then, and I hadn't married my first wife yet. Mm-hmm. But I joined the Army, and they sent me to the Army Language School in Monterey, California, mm-hmm. where I became a Russian interpreter. Jakavudoporovsky.
Oh, same here.
Kak dela?
Okay.
Ochenara show.
That means let's go fishing.
Yeah, okay. And I still speak the Russian. And I came back from there. I had a ham radio license at the time, by the way. And they sent me back to Fort Devens, Massachusetts to be a Russian radio intercept operator. Mm-hmm. That's where I met my first wife, and we married and ended up having 4 children.
Okay, great.
And
this is you on the far right. Let's see.
Well, this is after I'd married her, and eventually we moved up into a town called Laconia, New Hampshire, where I bought a camera store. And that's when I started in television.
Okay.
And it looks a little different than television today, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. But that's a great photo, and you have a rich and storied history in this, and we're so glad you get to share this with us and all. And go ahead.
Yeah, and because we were living in New Hampshire at Mount Washington, right next door, we did a lot of, my family and I did a lot of camping and outdoors mm-hmm. stuff, and snow skiing and fishing, of course, and deer hunting. And in 1988, my son, Fletcher, who's now 60, mm-hmm. he was living in Lake Tahoe, California, and he had been into mountain climbing a lot. He got invited on a trip to Mount Everest, and he climbed Mount Everest.
Wow, that's awesome.
1980, he was 18 years old.
Wow, I know that was a thrill right there. And you and Fred Hayes, astronaut Fred Hayes, y'all still in contact with each other?
Oh, yeah. Well, I was going to tell you, I did tell you that he called to wish me a happy birthday, and I did one for him. And
that's cool.
And my daily prayer is, thank God I'm on this side of the grass.
There you go. We're glad you are too, buddy. Okay, we got to do another drawing, and we got all kinds of stuff. We just don't have time to cover. You know how TV is, you got that short amount of time.
Yeah, I know.
This be Tarpanock Seafood, a $20 gift certificate. So Jim, draw that $20.
Oh, let's see.
What would you buy if you go in Tarpanock today? What would you buy? Shrimp or oysters? All right. Coach Carroll over there at Freeport Middle School. Coach Carroll at Freeport Middle School. I know you're going to enjoy that. This is going to be for a big red snapper from Tarpon Dock Seafood, and that's going to be Doug Rose from Alford. So we got him from Freeport, Alford, and Lynn Haven. We got winners all over. Look, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to get up here on Google Earth, and we're going to let Jim show us some of his good fishing spots. So we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back and welcome to the Famous Friday Fishing Report. We're going to do a little different today. We got Jim Wilson here. We're going to sort of feast on his knowledge of the things he's done and some places he likes to go fishing and this time of year. So Jim, I gave you the wand, so just tell us a little bit about fishing in this area.
Well, it's so seasonal, and that's the whole thing you have to keep in mind, is that we do fish seasonally here. For example, you can't help but talk about the two big piers that we have, the Panama City Beach Pier and the County Pier. And starting, it won't be too long now before we get into the next year. And as April comes in, cobia.
Okay, April, big month April.
We have what we call the pelagic fish. And but right now, the big thing is going to be redfish, lots of redfish around in the bays, and they're generally in shallow water. And flounder have already migrated out. They're going to be on the offshore wrecks, and we've got a couple of systems. We've got the Bay County Artificial Reef Association, and if you go there now, you can get GPS readings of all of these wrecks that they put out. Those big, huge tower things that you see. And they definitely are holding fish. And we have seasonal regulated openings on snapper and grouper and things like that.
Tell us about, you were telling me the other day about you were catching, how you like to catch. You caught a lot of redfish in the Pass area.
Yes.
Tell us how you like to fish the Pass.
Well, for redfish, number one, I like to have very fresh bait.
Okay.
And I like to have a strong early morning incoming tide.
That's important.
And I'll put in at the state park and then pull right out around, I think this is the state park right here.
That's right.
And come right around here and come out here, and we're going to have this strong incoming tide.
Oh, are you drifting in with the tide? Or
well, hang on.
Okay.
That's just what I want to tell you. What I do is called finessing the bottom. And I have my line rigged up with a sinker on the bottom and a standard rig like that, and fresh peeled shrimp. And we start out here and we drift just like this. And I've got a fantastic video I did. That day we boated 9 redfish. We had several break-offs. And what you want to do is you want to drop down and touch the bottom and then just reel up a little bit with fresh peeled shrimp. And the reason I say that is, I hate to say this, a lot of tackle shops sell frozen, but they're nothing like the fresh. Break that head off, peel it, and drop it down, and you're going to get the redfish. And this was a week after Christmas, so you can imagine how cold it was. You just have to dress for
So we got that time of the year coming up right now in a couple of weeks. We'll
what
be
I'm
there.
talking about. This is the time of the year, but you want to make sure you've got a strong, high incoming tide early in the morning.
And early in the morning, and what?
When I say I don't mean daylight,
Right.
I mean, but you know, got sun up and things, but.
What size line, what kind of tackle do you use?
Personally, I use braided line.
Okay.
I like 40 or 50 pound braid. It's about 10 or 12 pound test diameter. And then for leaders, about 20 pound test. And I usually just hook up one hook at a time, circle hook. And you don't have to go setting the hook. The redfish will hook themselves.
It's amazing how they're hanging in here in December.
Yes, they're right there because there's a lot of little bait fish down there. But you want to take that slow drift all the way in, then get in here, come back out, take another slow drift like that.
And that's a good winter. That's a good winter fishing activity.
Just dress warm.
Dress warm. Now we're talking too. Now you've been here. Let's talk about the opening of the old pass down in here. Tell us your thoughts on that.
Well, here's what I did on that. I started on TV here in 1985, and in 1988 I started publishing my newspaper called the Florida Outdoor News, and that was in '88. In the year 2000, I predicted, or excuse me, in 1990, I predicted that by the year 2000, the old pass would close, and that what would happen is that once it connected to Tyndall, all of those predators from Tyndall would come over to the other side,
Shell Island,
to
right?
Shell Island, because we had huge colonies of nesting terns and other birds.
Okay, we've got about 1 minute left, so we got to.
Okay, and that the predators would destroy all of those. I missed it by a year.
About a year.
And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Well, do you think if we open it back up, what would happen if we open it back up?
Oh, I think it would give us a chance to go in and clean up and get rid of all those predators.
Yeah. And how do you think?
Guess where some of those nesting birds went to do nest, by the way? On top of the Sears building at the mall.
Yeah, I saw that. What about the fishing, though? How would that affect the fishing if we open up the old pass?
Oh, it'll affect it a huge amount.
Yeah.
And it'll also give us a safer way to get in and out of the open water.
Yeah, yeah. So we got that coming up. We've run out of time, but Jim, always thank you so much for coming on the show.
Winston, thank you for inviting me. You know, I miss my shows so much, and you just do such a great show, and you're the only daily.
Thank you. I'm the only crazy one around that's left. Okay. All right, thank you, Jim. A great job you did. All you done. We appreciate what you done for the outdoors.
Thank you.
Y'all have a great weekend. Thanks for watching.
And Merry Christmas.
That's right.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.